let's just give a warm round of applause for the 5 people who've never done a contest. There you go. 70, we've got 70 joining now, that's great, top right, you can see the numbers there. So thanks for that, 70 people, phone way ahead, look, shouty mode, fantastic. Now, how easy was it to learn your particular mode and your skill? We're going to ask the panellists now, so Nick, how easy was it?
Okay, can I ask the audience to please raise your hand if you've ever had an FT8 QSO? Look at them all. Now keep your hands up if you've had an FT4 QSO. And keep your hands up if you've done it by and disabled the first message at the same time. Not very many of you have done that. Okay, well all of you who put your hands up are absolutely ready for FT4 contesting. And those of you who kept your hands up are even more ready. And that was how easy it was to learn the mode. How many QSOs, how many DXCCs can you work in FT4 in 90 minutes on 5 bands? That is a fantastic challenge, and it's very easy to get cracking at it.
Sounds like easy to me. Okay. Tony.
How easy is it to learn your mode? Well, if you do 2 hours a day, every day, not long. It might take a bit longer to get to 25 words a minute, but in contesting, like most things in life, what you put in, you get out. And the beauty about CW is you get it out forever.
Yeah. Ooh. Okay, Andrew? Andy?
Only my mother called me Andrew. So I'm in trouble already. So I'm talking to my mother. I mean, I've been learning my mode since I was 1. I have to say, it became a little more difficult when I tried the Français and the Deutsch and the Italiano and the Espanol, and particularly because I was completely rubbish at languages at school. But nevertheless, that's good. The other skill you have to have is the ability to talk very fast. 5 number 4, thank you, basic tango. And as long as you can do that, that's fine. But you do need to warm up the muscles in the there. That's it. Warm up.
And how's your Japanese pilot operating?
Japan 1 Lima radio. Yeah?
No, Rima radio.
Rima radio, yeah.
It's very good. Great, Rich.
Very easy. If you can do FT8 or FT4, then your radio is ready. If you can press F1, 2, and 3, you're there, and use the mouse.
Fantastic. Anybody here just got any comments about learning your particular mode or skill? Do you want to? A question? Oh, right. I'll look after you and Graham, don't worry. I'm going to hold it. Because I might ridicule you see. Right, go on then. Quick question.
I think for some of the data modes, I think the question is how do you automate the logging and the production of things like serials and other parts of the exchange? So
I'm nearly asleep already.
I think some information about that might encourage more people to have a go.
Okay, so there you go. There's a question for you there, Rich.
So do you use N1MM or DXlog as a contest logger?
Variety of programs.
Okay, then it's already built in. So you set up macros, which basically will send whatever the message is. So you hit F1, call CQ, someone calls back G1 AAA, you click on G1 AAA, that puts it in.
There you go. Anyway, we don't want to get into the, that's why I don't do FT8. No, sorry. Right, okay. Oh, one more question. Okay, let me go over here. One more question, then we press on. Hello, sir. What's your name?
I'm Marek Mem0JUR, and I am going to say something that's probably going to be very controversial. So, how can you live with the WSG lot of letters user interface? Because I literally bounced off that multiple times. It's horrible. The only mode, the Digimodes I end up doing, I use either FLDigi for RT or actually go to JS8 code, because this is supposed to be the standard tool for FT modes. And I work in programming for a living.
Any comment on that, Rich, before we move on?
That's an FT one, isn't it?
FT, also. Well, you got a microphone.
Yes. Well, it's just coloured squares on a screen and you click on them. It's very straightforward.
If you don't click on it in the right order, it does nothing.
That's vodka for you. Okay, look, we're going to press on. So what hardware and software do you normally use for your mode? Nick?
Okay, I'll go first again. Well, I started with a very simple setup, just a radio and an interface thing connected to a computer. And that was it, running WSJTX. And that's all you need to get started. I don't use, well, I use a lot more than that now, and I don't use WSJTX anymore. I use things that are more automated. But certainly, you are all, I would say, at the point where you could start, and then later, you could have fun experimenting with new configurations and progressing.
You like experimenting with new things?
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm not going to go there. Tony?
Hi,
Morse
Bob.
key? Yeah, you got your Morse key? That's good
Yeah, I've got
hardware.
my Morse key, but it has to be an iambic one, of course. Nobody enters a contest with using a pump key nowadays. So, and you need to program your F1 key, etc., and use some software. So it helps if you've got a laptop or a computer of some sort. But most importantly, you want a comfortable chair. Secondly, you want station ergonomics. And thirdly, you want a decent pair of glasses. If you're like me, the screen gets old, but when you get older, your eyes don't work quite so well. So make sure you've got some good glasses. And
Tony said...
one, two, okay, right.
Not a sideband operator.
So
skimmer is also useful.
So keeping fit is also important.
Sorry?
Keeping fit is also important for 4 contests.
Weightlifting. Oh.
Tony tells me that in the morning he wakes up stiff in all the wrong places these days. Is that... Okay. Right. Over to you, Andy.
Hello. Right. So for sideband, I use a standard radio, as big an amplifier as I'm allowed, as much antenna hardware as I can muster, because life's too short for QRP, especially in sideband. And then you need a headset and a microphone, but you don't need to spend money on that. 50p electret headset, 50p electret insert on the end of a bit of wire that's attached to your headphones. That's all you need, with a bit of tape around it. And you think I'm joking.
Seen it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, for software, DXlog or Wintest.
Cool. Rich?
So I use a Flex radio. Anyone who's used one for Digimodes will know how easy it is to integrate. Single Cat5 cable between the radio and the PC, nothing else. Free software, we've got David to thank for that. Two-tone that's available to use with M1MM and DXlog also. DXlog being my favourite. The great thing, it's all free. Don't have to pay for any of it. Thank you to developers that make it available to us.
The best price. Fantastic. Let's just celebrate that. Fantastic. Right. So our audience, are you equipped to operate in the modes we are discussing? So on your keypads, fastest finger first. Wow. I've got to be. I'm just loving the none of them. the 6 people, wherever they are just going, well, I don't know any modes. 3 of them do, even though they're not contesting. Yeah. There you go. 75 now. We've got a few more people logged on. So. Looks like a large majority have got a good cross-section of all of them, apart from none of them. Yeah. Very good. Well done. Okay, for our panel, do you have an operating strategy that is a recipe for success? Look at the link as well with the pictures. It's just great, isn't it? So, Nick, I'll start with you again.
Okay, we'll get to go first. Well, I would say the answer is absolutely not. I don't have a recipe for success. I just do a very simple thing. We have 90 minutes, and because I'm using 2 radios, I start on 10 and 15, and then I work my way down. At the end of the 90 minutes, I'm on 40 and 80. I try looking to Japan, to North America and South America, and I'm working a lot of stuff that you just wouldn't work in an 80-meter club championship contest. My rate is getting worse. That's because I get seduced by seeing juicy multipliers come up on the screen, and I try to work them, and it sometimes takes a little while.
You need to get out more.
That's me.
Great. Tony?
Firstly, don't be shy on sending. You know, make sure the F keys are doing the work for you. Try QRP for a change. You might surprise yourself. It teaches you to listen. I mean, really listen. When a guy says up 5 or whatever it is, then you make sure you don't miss that. Okay, set yourself targets for each hour or so. In short events, go as fast as you can whilst retaining low error rates. If you go slow, ops won't hang around for the extra QSO, but we'll move elsewhere.
Thank you. Andy?
Okay, so firstly, you need to sound enthusiastic. There's nothing worse than someone going, CQ contest. And you need to keep the frequency active lots of the time as well. Don't leave a long gap between CQs, otherwise people will just tune past you. Make sure your audio's good. You need to sound punchy and well processed. And not too bassy, not too toppy, just right. Be efficient, no more words than you need to put up there. If you end up in a frequency fight, be realistic about whether you're going to fight for your frequency or move somewhere else. Don't let any of the jammers and the QRMOs wind you up. Some of them can be quite funny. There was a GR2HQ thing about 3 in the morning on 80 metres. Some very drunk Glaswegian came on and just said, "Oh, you're doing my head in, you're doing my head in." And so, they're all right.
That was Tony.
That's why he was so loud. Luckily, I could just turn the 4 square and put him in a null and carry on working South American. So anyway. Right.
Rich, what's your strategy?
So I'd always have a plan. I think any contest to go in with a rough idea of what you want to do. Typically, I would always run on the radio probably as much as I can, and then maybe at the top of the hour, you start at the bottom of the band, work all the way up, work all your multipliers, sorted by the points. So work what's got the most points first. I'd always look at records, so see what you can beat. Then that gives you something to push for. Also, that's it gives you a nice a target to aim. And public logs, I don't know if people were aware, but for certainly all the big contests, public logs are available. So go and look and see what people did the previous year. Look to see when they took off times. Certainly the people who are experienced and are winning, go and see what they're doing, make the most of them.
Cool. And I'll just talk about one area that I'm always interested in. For the big contests, we've got 4 great contesters here. Let's just show our appreciation. Sleep deprivation. And the big contest, can you all hack 48? Anybody here, are the 4 panellists, have you done 48 straight?
Never. I've done 46, 47 a number of times, but
Wow.
not in the last... Yeah, not in the last 10 years.
42 me. It's just a killer. Just the sleep, the fight against
the hallucinations, though. It's great when when your table starts squirming and you start having megalomania thoughts. I remember thinking, all these people I'm working on the radio, they work for me. They're part of my team. Positively weird.
Great. And have we all fell asleep with the F1 key being pushed?
Mid QSO.
Excellent. It looks like we're all in the same company here. Fantastic. Okay, well that's great. So. How might contesting with your mode attract newcomers to amateur radio? That's a great picture, Nick. Is that the QSL policy?
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
Nick.
No, yes, bribery is very important. Well, FT4 contesting is very easy to understand because it's all about colours and words, and while you're doing it, because the computer's doing all the work, you can easily explain it to someone who's not seen it before, because the computer's doing it. And basically, FT4 is a computer game, but it's linked to the real world, and computer games are immensely popular. So how can it not be attractive?
Very good. Tony?
It's a challenge to learn a new skill, isn't it? I agree with you. But you've all done... Who's done a contest before? Hands up. Okay, you learnt a new skill, didn't you? Excellent. Do you try CW? You might even surprise yourself. But remember, this skill is a lifetime of benefit.
Fantastic. Andy?
The money's an interesting thing. It reminded me that I once did the Bermuda contest, which was basically a sideband contest, and I won a holiday to Bermuda out of that. So that was
nice.
That was awesome. Sadly long gone, but that's tough. So basically, I think sideband is perfect for newcomers because everyone can understand it. And that big booming signal that comes across from the other side of the world still has a certain magic about it, even in the days of the internet. So, yeah, I think that's why that wins.
And do we all enjoy that that KL7 coming in over the pole?
Absolutely.
We've all been there. Rich?
So a couple of things. So someone for RTTY, you might not necessarily have the skills to CW. Personally, that's one of the reasons why I do it. Everyone probably, well, most people know I don't do CW, so sideband and RTTY are my two loves. Also, nothing against you, Andy, but if you've heard the chaos on sideband and some of the pile-ups and the behaviour, you just want to turn off. Certainly I've wanted to do that a few of the times. And also, if we're looking to aim at a younger generation, then something using a computer might also be more attractive.
Cool. Excellent. Okay, question for the audience now to indicate which modes they think are most appropriate to attract newcomers to amateur radio through contesting. So just check your screen, and you should have another one there. This is newcomers coming into radio. What do you think would be the best mode?
Quite right, I was worried there.
That's good.
You're right, it's obvious, you see.
Yeah, there you go. SSB. Fantastic. Well, thanks for that. Okay, question for the panel. Where is the fun with your mode, and what do contesters need to do to get the most enjoyment from using it? Nick?
Okay, briefly, the fun in FT4 contests is all about the bright colours. So, shiny new multipliers in green, we want them to be bright red. And a screen full of red is fantastic. I don't think the other modes are anything like as colourful. And of course, there's always the sexy DX. So the rule is follow the colours and work the DX.
Fantastic. Tony?
Okay, the first thing is to be at one with your radio and the software and all the other bits in between, the antenna, and you have a symbiotic relationship with the guy at the other end. It's a beautiful thing. Anyway,
I think
just
you,
love the
you
challenge
swallowed a
each time.
dictionary or something. Yeah. You swallowed a dictionary. Okay, Andy.
Well, interestingly, you mentioned earlier on about 40-metre sideband, and I'm the 40-metre. Well, I've been the 40-metre sideband operator in CQ Worldwide at M6T for a number of years, perhaps not this year. A fight with the pig farmers on 7199.9 is always good entertainment for anyone who's listened there. But in all seriousness, actually, the best bit is for the mode is going for rate on sideband. So, can you get the last 10 metre up over 500? Can you keep the last 100 metre up over 300? That sort of thing. Be clear, be quick, be efficient. No unnecessary words, do your fills just as partials. But one thing, when you call CQ, call CQ. Don't take the advice that just says go Mike 6 Tango, Mike 6 Tango. You need to go CQ, Mike 6 Tango, so people know what you're doing. Just getting rid of my one big bugbear with advice that's floating about.
Rich?
Okay, so instead of hearing that KL7, seeing it on the screen, so seeing it decode and that needed multiplier, coming through. A busy contest calendar, so there's lots of contests each month. It's surprising, actually. I did have a look, and there's at least a couple of RTTY contests that you can do every month. Bigger contests, they're very competitive, so the worldwide WPX, and then the roundup. Also good for group events, so if you want to get a load of mates together in a room, the great thing is you can all talk and have a laugh at the same time. You don't have to sit there with headphones on all weekend and have no interaction at all.
That's great. Okay. Right. Question of the panel. Do you have any encouraging poetry, a limerick, for example, to share with our audience? So, Nick, off you go.
Okay, you can all join in with this. There was a young man from Darjeeling who boarded a bus bound for Ealing. A sign by the door said, "Don't spit on the floor." So he stretched up and spat on the...
Hang on. Well, let's just give him one of these first. What has that got to do with amateur radio?
But the question didn't ask for a poem to do with amateur radio. Okay, I've got a poem to do with amateur radio.
Go on then.
A contesting ham from Lahore, you can see where this is going,
Right, thank you, Tony.
was finding his hobby a bore. The return of his zeal, he was keen to reveal, was when he started to use
CW. Oh,
very good.
very good, very. Tony.
Okay. In Morse, the signals take flight. Two friends share a chat in the night. With dots and dashes, like music it flashes. A symphony full of delight.
Oh. Nice one. Andy.
And with thanks to ChatGPT, in the contest, I'm ready to shout. CQ on the air, there's no doubt. With my amp set to 11, I'm booming like heaven, hoping stations from far lands call out.
Whoa, we like that one. We like that one. Rich.
If your contesting is getting quite gritty and your contesting modes really aren't pretty, then escape from the groan of CW and phone to the sonorous ditty of Ritty.
Very good. Let's give them all a big... Great. Okay, and question for the audience. Which modes for you are the most entertaining? There's a purple mango Indian last night on the left, look. But yeah, so look on your keypads. Please rank the 4 modes for contesting entertainment value on your keypads now.
Ooh.
Go on.
Come on. Come on. Oh, it's very
Wow.
Come on, vote for CW. I'll pay you.
They were the Euro notes before. So there you go. Phone is most entertaining, followed by CW Ritty and then FT4. Good fun. Thanks a lot. Right. Question for the panel. Is your mode family... We've only got 5-6 minutes. Is your mode family partner friendly? Nick.
Okay, we'll move it on. It's easy to talk to others while you're operating FT4. At a push, you could attend a dinner party and leave it running. But what you would find is that you wouldn't score very highly because you wouldn't be able to be strategic if you weren't actually watching the screen.
Tony.
It's very quiet. It's almost relaxing. Also, you're very less likely to cause TVI compared to some other modes.
Okay, Andy.
Well, it's certainly not family friendly if you're dealing with the pig farmers on 7200. But no, especially at night, you need a shack as far from the bedroom as possible. Some folks use N1MM and automated mode to sound like a robot, but it is pretty robotic. But I should tell you the story. At M6T, we used to have everyone in a long container and operated all the 6 bands from there. We had to relegate Fred, G4BWP, to a separate shed because he was so loud and you could still hear him.
It's like that when you share a room with him. Rich? So very similar to FT4 as well. So you can take part and not cause any noise. Personally, I don't operate with headphones or anything. Everything's visual, just looking at the decode. Some of the contests you can do are very short, so 6, 12, 24, 48 hours. So you can pick, to be more sociable, or if you have family gatherings that you want to go to, then you can do those and then come back. And then the other good thing, you can still be competitive in that category as well.
Fantastic. Okay, question for the panel, if you need to take a call of nature. Is Imodium your friend? Nick?
Okay. Arguably, FT4 QSOs are long enough to nip out and to nip back again. However, with a small degree of automation, a slightly more prolonged disappearance from the shack would be quite possible. And of course, you haven't got a precious run frequency to sacrifice.
Oh, run frequency. And Tony has the prostate. Off you go.
My prostate? I'll have to speak to the GP.
Call for nature.
Okay. Avoid tea and coffee for about 4 or 6 hours beforehand. Anything with caffeine in it, make sure you leave it out. Water is best, but not too much. Otherwise, you'll find yourself going for a short break, in which case you have to stop, and that's it. Unless any of the panel have got a better idea, I'd love to know about it.
Well, Andy, have you got shares in Red Bull? Off you go.
No, I have a better idea. So, in the past, it would have, for a sideband, it have been a brick on the F1 key and just wander away. But now, surely the answer is a wireless headset, Vox, and remote desktop onto your phone, so you can just behave like a teenager.
Brilliant. Rich?
One up, just hit auto CQ, go for a pee and come back.
Brilliant. We won't go into any more detail. I do know some stories about some very big contests who've got things attached to them to stop them, but we all know about that. Okay, quick question for the panel. Would you recommend it to a friend? Now, I don't know if that's going to the toilet or contesting. Nick?
Okay, well, I think the answer is definitely not. Because I don't want any good contesters coming on and beating me. But perhaps I would recommend it. Well, I would recommend it to anyone else. And it's a challenge for our audience to come on and see what you can achieve in an FT4 contest.
Okay, Tony.
I'd be happy to help if they were keen and with some code and practice and pointers along the way. But just learn the numbers and the letters to start with. It's quite easy.
Cool. Andy?
I'd recommend it to all my friends, every single one of them. Just get the number of people up on sideband.
Cool. Rich?
Yeah, definitely. Get a friend to do it, and then you can do team contesting both in the same room.
Brilliant. Quick question for the audience. Would you recommend these modes to a friend for contesting? Off you go. Oh, we've got the none of one on this one. This is good. There you go. Looks like phone's got it, I think. Recommend a friend. Okay, we'll leave it at that. None of them are still on 5. Brilliant. Quick one. What add-ons tools make your mode great, Nick?
Okay. If your station is equipped for SO2R, or if you've got 2 radios and some filters, I recommend trying to use FT4 on 2 bands at once and avoid having to click on the blessed log and enable buttons by using something like WSJT-Z or other clones of WSJT-X. With 2 radios and a bit of automation, you can really concentrate on the strategy of chasing your multipliers.
There we go. Tony? Thank you.
Keyboard.
Andy?
A keyboard. A keyboard would help. You can be a wireless keyboard. That was much better. It stops the RFI getting into the F1 key and it going all over the screen. And, oh yes, if you've got a dual receiver, make sure you use them. Okay, so try SO2V. You might surprise yourself.
Good tip.
And use extra foot switches for all sorts of things. You can buy these little things, that USB things you plug in, and you can program up the switch to do anything you like.
We should all go on one of Tony's courses after
2
this, I think.
feet and hands.
Thank you. Thank you, Tony. Thank you. Andy?
Voice keyer, foot switch, headset, big amplifier. Don't fall asleep with the voice keyer running, though. That's a common common thing to irritate people. And, yeah, crack on.
Cool. Rich?
If you're assisted, make the most of the RBN. It gives you a great visual to see where you're hitting. So you know if there's areas that you want to focus on, then you can see that straight away. Also, there's some new software, SDC by Yuri, and he's actually written it so that it pre-fills call signs in the exchange without actually having to use your mouse.
Wow.
So you don't have to click at all.
Okay, and do you all use your mental SCP when you need a contest? Okay, cool. Okay, any final words on the panel to encourage our audience to accept your mode, Nick?
It's like being in court. Okay, first of all, FT4 is the only one of our modes that is specifically designed for contesting. It could be a passing craze. If it is a passing craze, then using it will be great preparation for FT9 or 10 or whatever comes along next. If it isn't a passing craze, then the sooner you get on and use it, the more success you will have.
Very good. Tony?
Okay, give it a go, that's all I would say. You may even like it. But the number 1 rule is don't try and send, if you're learning the code that is, until you can receive at 5 or 10 words a minute. Then pick up a key so you know what the CW should sound like. Otherwise, you run the characters together without actually realizing it. Remember, you only get out what you put in. So the more you put in, the more you get out. Thank you.
Brilliant. Andy?
So just get on and give it a go. It's most fun when you've got a big pile up. So my recommendation, come on Sunday evening in the ARRL contest. If you need to pick a new call sign, pick a new call sign, and you'll have an enormous pile up, which is great fun.
Excellent. And Rich, finally.
Okay, so it's very easy to learn. I said before, if you're already set up to do any digital mode, then you can do RTTY. It's a lot less straining than phone and CW. It's easy on the ears, great for team or club events. Loads of UK records up for grabs.
Cool.
And it's better than CW.
Okay, let's do a quick question, final question, I think, for our audience. Please rank your likelihood to try each of the new modes that we've listened to this evening. None of them. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, if you want to do AM contesting or something like that, just add that to the SSB pile.
Yeah. That's interesting. So everybody's looking like they want to have a go at all of them. Even, pretty even. Okay, we're very short of time now. So, okay, I'm going to first of all, let's give a big applause this time for our panellists. Let's give them a special DXpedition symbol. And finally, Nick, over to you to say a few words about this next slide.
Okay, well, I've got you here, captive audience, so to speak. Just to remind you that this coming weekend is the centenary of the QSO made between Goida and New Zealand, 2SZ and 4AA. And what we're hoping is that a lot of people will be on the bands on Friday, Saturday and Sunday next weekend to celebrate. Now, Don has done a lot of work and has special call signs and is working at the school where the first QSO was made from.
G3BJ, everybody.
So, well done, Don. Thank you very much for that. But also, could you, if you're at home or available, then try and get on and try and make QSOs with the other side of the planet. Let's give them some people to talk to. And if you'd like to activate one of the RSGB call signs on Friday, Saturday or Sunday, then there are details on the RSGB website how you might do that.
Thank you.
Just before we finish, can I just say thank you very much to Bob for being our compere and for looking after us so well this afternoon.
Hola.
Thanks, everybody. Fantastic. And Graham, I don't know if you want to say a couple of words, but thanks, everybody. Been a great evening. Thank you.